These Zatsus are some of my favorite streams from EN. Your stories are always fun to listen to. One question, are there any interesting camping encounters you can think of? Okay, I have one. It counts as like a creepy story. One time I went on a short bicycle camping trip up a mountain. And how do I tell this story? Okay, I was completely cut off. You have to keep in mind that like there was no reception out there, so I was completely cut off. I went on a bicycle, like a 2 or 3 day bicycle camping trip, and then I went up a mountain to a mountain campsite. And it wasn't super remote. It was like a car campsite. So like there's like a ranger station, and you have to pay money, and then you go in there, and then it's not like a backpacking thing. It was like a car camping campsite. So I spent all day biking up this mountain. Didn't see a single car. And I was like, awesome, cool. Actually, I did see like a couple cars, but not that many. I miscalculated how quickly I could get up to the campsite. I get to the campsite in the pitch dark. The sun had already set and there was like no lights whatsoever. And then I go to the ranger station of obviously like the rangers are already gone for the night. There's like nobody there. But they have a situation where like they have envelopes and you can actually pay and then drop it in something called an Iron Ranger, which is basically just like a post box. You put your campground fee into the envelope, put it into the post box, and then I went down to the campsite. Campsite was like pretty remote, pretty beautiful. I get down there. And this is during like not peak, but like early fall, like decent camp. Like there should be a decent amount of people still at the campground at this point. There should still be decent. It's not like the summer season where like every campsite is completely full. It's like decent. It's like just going into the off season. I get down to the campsite and there's like nobody there. Nobody there. And it's like, this is really weird. Pitch my tent, cook my mountain house for dinner, cook the mountain house, eat it, and then I go to the restroom to prepare for sleep, and then I come back out, and then there's like a motorhome. There's like a camper there when there wasn't a camper there before, and I hear them talking, so I know that there's people there. And then they notice me. I don't say hi, but like I'm walking back and I'm like not trying to be quiet. And I've got my headlamp on. I've got a headlamp so they can see me coming back to my campsite. They stop talking and I see them looking at me, and then I'm looking at them, and then we just kind of ignore each other. I get back into my tent. I bed down for the night, and then I go to sleep and then think nothing of it. I wake up the next morning and there's somebody like outside of my tent saying, hello, hello, who's in there? Who's in there? Hello? And I unzip my tent and I look out, and it's a ranger. It's a ranger, and it's morning. And I was like, oh, what's up, ranger? And he's like, you're not supposed to be here. Campground's closed. I was like, what? Campground's closed. There's a wildfire that's heading this way. You're lucky that the wildfire shifted. You could have died in your tent. We shut down the campground. We shut down all of the roads. There were barriers on the roads. You shouldn't have been able to get up here. Like, how did you get up here? And I was like, what? And then I look over and it's like, yeah, but like there's like one guy over there. And I look over and then the camper is gone. It's like long gone. Yeah. I mean, nothing creepy happened. It's just like, but if it was really closed, how did the RV get up here? That's my creepy camping story. I encountered some like weird, unexplainable stuff. And the most unexplainable was, okay, let me think about it. How do I put this into words? I was in a very, very remote area, and I was bicycling, and it was the middle of the day, and I ran into like kind of like a gas station, but like none of the pumps were working. So it was just like a rest stop where you can buy drinks and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I, parked my bike, and then I walked in, and it's just like a bunch of weird crap in there. There was like drinks and food and candy, but it was also like just like a bunch of crazy, like nobody would buy it. It's just like knickknacks, right? So it looked like a antique curio store, right? And so I was just like, hello, 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 and then a guy came out, and the dude definitely gave me really creepy vibes because he was just like whispering the entire time. He talked like this, right? And I was just like, what the heck? And I was just like, yeah, like, you have any food? Like, I'm kind of hungry. He's like, oh, we don't have a lot of food, but I'll see what I got, right? And so he's like rummaging the counter, and then there's like candy bars and chips and stuff like that, and there was like soda or whatever. So I got like a can of Coca-Cola, like 2 Snickers bar, and like a bag of chips, right? So I'm like eating, and then I'm having a conversation with this guy, and it becomes like quickly apparent that this dude is like insane. Like he was going over like these, I can't even remember, like just these crazy conspiracy theories.
I like this comment. And that's how I met Altair and joined Tempus.
We're roasting the leader. No. This guy was like even older than me. I'm old. This guy was even older than me. And I don't know. It's like the hoarse, like raspy whispering. And what I can remember from like what he was trying to tell me about was that like humans are aliens and we came here like on a spaceship that crash landed in the desert in the middle of the United States and it's under there, and like what we see as gods are actually like the aliens that are like controlling and like he just went through like on this long, like just like a really long and detailed conspiracy theory about how there's like a gigantic continent, like state-sized like alien ship buried underneath the ground, and like that's where we all came from. And then I was just like eating my chips, and then I ate a Snickers bar, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I remember asking like, hey, is there a restroom that I could use before I head out? Because you know, it's good to do that like when you're bicycling, because you don't know the next time you're gonna hit like a rest stop, right? And he's like, oh no, but like there's like an outhouse like way out in the back. I could show you where it is. And my spidey senses were like, probably shouldn't go out into the woods with this guy. So I was like, actually I'm good. I'm good. And then I left, right? And then I left and then I was bicycling. I was bicycling for about 30-40 minutes. I hit like a good downhill. And then I hit another shop and the pumps were working at this one and it was in better condition, right? So I stopped in and then I was like buying stuff and I was like talking to the old lady that was running it. It was a little like terse but like friendly enough, right? And then I mentioned like, yeah, there's like a crazy dude like 30 minutes that way and like blah 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 blah, and she's like, yeah, that shop should be abandoned, like there should be nobody there. And I was like, excuse me? And then I went back to my bike and then I looked at I had one more Snickers bar, right? And there's like an expiration date on like candy, right? And it expired like 5 years ago.
What?
So it's like 5-year-old candy, like more than 5-year-old, right? Because it expired 5 years ago.
Dude, are you kidding? That's insane. That's actually.
I don't think it was a ghost. I don't think it was.
That was the most. That was the scariest thing I've ever heard. That's scarier than my story.
So one thing that I wanted to talk about is that when I got into PC building, which was late high school, early college, none of us actually knew what we were doing, and there was a lot of superstition. One thing that you might be interested in is that maybe it was just like the group of people that I hung out with. We were like absolutely terrified of static electricity bricking our components. It was just like everybody was like, yeah, I knew a guy that bricked a $600 video card because he accidentally zapped his, yeah, right there we go. You got it. We all built our PCs butt naked. Could you imagine late high school, early college Vesper Noir building a PC butt naked on his kitchen floor? We had like little static electricity straps that we would ground onto like a metal, like a steel, like a piece of like steel somewhere. And then we would just take off all of our clothes because, you know, like clothes like builds up static electricity. Just build your PC butt naked on your kitchen floor, like tile floor. Don't build it on carpet. You have to build it on tile floor. Please, if you're interested in building PCs and you're going to build one, you don't need to worry about static. Just make sure you discharge static electricity on something metal. And then just build, right? Like you don't need to take off your clothes. It's not necessary. My friend had a dog like that. I remember this was in high school, and I had a close school friend. I used to go to his house all the time, and he had a dog where like a couple times they like injured their paw, and everybody in the family was like doting on the dog, right? And was like giving the dog treats and stuff like that. And the dog learned like if I fake an injury, they give me treats. So like this stupid dog would just like constantly be pretending, like it would make the yelping noise, you know, like, and then like limp and then get like treats. And then like, it would just like walk off. It would just like, after it got what it wanted, it would just like stop limping and just like walk off. Like a con dog, right? Like a con man dog. Question, how did you beat KOTOR in a single sitting? I've been dying to know. Okay, I beat KOTOR in a single sitting because of one like very simple reason. I never owned KOTOR. I borrowed it from a friend. I remember who I borrowed it from. I borrowed KOTOR from a high school friend, and then I had to beat it as quickly as I could. So I just stayed up and I beat it in like 27 hours, something like that. It was over a 24-hour period. It was during spring break, and then I beat it in like one sitting, and then I returned it over. That was like the weirdest person to borrow it from too. That was the strangest person to borrow it from too. That was from a friend that was not a friend. We became a friend through KOTOR. That was like incredible. Like what the fuck? I had no friends in high school. I had very little friends. I had people that I played like TCGs with occasionally, and then I had fellow delinquents that I would meet at the PC cafe. So I was in high school just doing my own thing, being a weirdo in my corner. Because this is like a meme, right? I know this is a meme, so people are gonna make fun of it, right? I was like sitting in my own corner doing nothing, and then like a goth girl, came up to me, and she was like, "Hey, do you like Star Wars?" Like a goth girl came up to me, like while I was at lunch, like minding my own business. I was like, "Hey, do you like Star Wars?" And then I looked up, and my immediate reaction was like, "Oh, she's gonna roast me." Like her friends are watching, and she's gonna be like, "Ha, nerd, you like Star Wars?" And I was like, "Ah, shit, I'm about to get roasted." And I remember I had like my notebook in front of me. I was like I was doing like homework or something for a class. And then I remember my exact response. In a panic, I was like, "No." She's like, "Hey, do you like Star Wars?" And I was like, "No." And I remember the scathing look that she gave me. Just like an absolute scathing look, right? And she said, "You're a terrible liar. I know you like Star Wars." "You're a terrible liar. I know you like Star Wars." And I remember I was like, "Yeah." I was like, yeah, I do." Like very defensive. It's like I'm prepared to get made fun of, right? I was like, yeah, I do. So this is the backstory. She had an older brother that loved Star Wars games, specifically the like Rogue Squadron, TIE Fighter, the space like battle sims, the space fighter sims. Like she had an older brother that liked the classic Star Wars games, and he bought KOTOR because he's like, "Oh, I love everything Star Wars." He got about like 30 minutes into KOTOR, and then he dropped the game because he's like, "This is not the type of game that I like." So she picked it up and she beat the entire game, and she loved the game. And this was somebody that hated Star Wars. Like, she made fun of her older brother for liking Star Wars because it's for nerds. So she played through all of KOTOR as like a complete newbie, and she loved it. And she was looking for someone to talk about it with. So she was like, "Have you played KOTOR?" And then I knew about it, and I was like, "No, I haven't." And she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna lend it to you. You have to play it over spring break." And I was like, "Okay." And so she lent it to me, and then spring break, this was like the week before spring break, and then I played it in one sitting, and then I gave it back to her afterwards. And then like for the rest, like we were buddies. We were like, I wouldn't say we were friends, but we hung out maybe like once a month, a couple times a month, and then we would just like chat about KOTOR. A big part of our conversations was like, every time I played, because I replayed KOTOR like multiple times. Like, so basically we would pass the game, the CD back and forth, and she would play, and then I would play, she would play, I would play. And then every time I replayed it, I would be like, "Okay, this is the game that I'm going to play dark side." And it's like, light side. And she was like the complete opposite. She'd be like, "Okay, this is the time that this is the gameplay through that I'm going to play light side." And she's like, "HK47 is so based." Is Goth Friendo still around? No, we lost contact like after high school. I don't have like a Facebook. I don't have anything like that. Like I don't really like social media that much. So there's like no way for me to the knife story. I was known to be like kind of like a rowdy guy in my youth. Actually kind of similar to Axel. Like not that dissimilar, right? So I will preface this by saying that I do not remember getting stabbed. I do not remember getting stabbed. Because in my defense, I was very, very drunk. I was extremely drunk. And this was during my college years, right? When I was at the academy. So I guess we'll start from like where my memory like takes place, right? I had a hangover. I woke up from being very, very drunk. I remember I went to the bar, and then I blacked out because I don't remember coming back home and going to sleep, right? And I had like a really, really bad hangover, and then I woke up, right? And you know, like when you have a hangover, like your entire body hurts. Do you guys do that too? Like my body is like achy. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but it happens to me. But like I have a general like full body pain like after a hangover. And I was like, hangover. And then I got up, I drank 2 glasses of water, and then I went to the bathroom, and then I came back to my bed to like knock out again, right? And there was like, not a big one actually. Like there was like a blood stain on my bed sheet. There was like a blood stain there, right? And this is the first funny part. My immediate thought wasn't, did I get stabbed? My immediate thought was not, did I get stabbed? My immediate thought, as I was like incredibly hungover, was like, did I lose my V card? And it's like, no, you idiot. That's not how it works. Did I get fucked? I shit you not. That's like literally the first thing that I thought when I saw like a blood stain. I was just like, what? And then it was at that point that I realized that like I had a wound in my back. In my lower back, not upper back. Like lower, like mid lower back to the side. I had like a wound to my right side, right? And I was like, oh shoot, like it actually really hurts there. And like there's like blood on my shirt, right? So I was just like, what? I do have a very light scar. Actually, the other stabbing incident that I can't talk about has a bigger scar. This one doesn't. So I realized that like there's blood on my shirt and like I was bleeding in my sleep. So like I was just like, oh okay, I guess I should just go to the hospital. And then I went to the hospital. I didn't go to the ER. I went to what is it? There's like you can go in through the front and then wait. It's not the emergency room. It's like just like waiting there, right? But I remember like I sat there and it took like over 2 hours to like finally see somebody, and it wasn't even a doctor. It was like a PA or something like that, right? So I sat there for 2 hours like with like a knife wound. I mean, I'm spoiling for you, but like with a wound in my back. And then I finally saw like somebody that was like looking at it, and they were like, "You've been stabbed." And then I was like, no, that's impossible. Like, I would remember that. And then they were like, no, it's definitely a stab wound. And I was like, are you sure it's not like I fell down while I was drunk yesterday, and then like I like, you know, cut myself on like a shard of glass, or like, you know, like I stabbed myself with a shard of glass or something like that, right? And then I remember he told me like, well, that would be a possibility, yes, if it was a knife-shaped shard of glass and it was still inside of you, but it's not. And I remember the guy was like, I've seen like stab wounds before. Like, this is definitely a stab wound. I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't. There was nothing in there, which means like, yeah. How did you not bleed out? I don't know. This is where it's like unbelievable, right? The two unbelievable elements are like, one, I don't remember it. And then two, like I didn't die. Like I just like went home and then slept it off. And then like it was scabbing over like when I woke up, and then like I survived. Like I didn't die. Dude, how did you know that? Do you know how much it fucking cost me to get told by somebody that's not even a doctor that I got stabbed? It literally cost me like $2,200. They were like, yeah, you've been stabbed. $2,200, please. And I was like, thank you. They didn't even stitch me up, damn it. They put like a sticker on. They put like a fucking sticker on. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you shouldn't be like stitching that up? And he's like, what, do you want to get stitched? Like, this will do the same thing, and you're not gonna have like the stitch scars. And it's like, oh, okay. They literally put a sticker on me. It was like a medical sticker. It's not a band-aid. It was like a something. I don't remember what it was. They put an iPhone sticker on my stab wound. I don't know what situation led to it, but I was at a bar, and then I went with one of my roommates, but at one point that roommate left, and I continued drinking. And then I got stabbed, but I didn't notice. And then I went home, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up. That's like the whole story. Could you imagine being that poor sumbitch? You come up behind like a drunken idiot scholar, and you give them the old in out, right? And then like they don't notice, right? And you're like, should I do it again? I can tell you immediately right now what type of personality my attacker had, right? And my attacker is very similar to me, I think. I am the type of person where if I go into a shop to buy something, even if I know exactly what I want to buy, I go into a shop and I'm like, hello, ready, like, hi, like I'm trying to get the attention of somebody to like help me out, right? Like a shopkeeper, right? And they don't notice me and they don't respond. Instead of trying again, I will just turn around and then walk out and then find another store to go to that's like similar to that store. Not because like I'm feeling insulted, just more like, oh, okay, I guess you're busy. I think the person that stabbed me would probably get along with me because we're probably the same person, right? We're probably very similar in personalities where like they stabbed me and they were like, haha, yeah, like this will get a rise out of him. And then like I didn't respond, and then they're like, oh, okay. All right, I guess you're busy. I'll go stab someone else then. Haha, take care, have a good one. And then they just like left. How deep was it? I think it was like a 2.5-inch wound, something like that. It like got in there. And it was not like a Swiss Army knife. It was like an actual knife. How did you not know? That's why, like, I'm telling you, where's the doubt? Nobody would ever believe this story. I should be dead. It sounds like a fake story, but like, I had to pay $2,200 to be told that I had been stabbed. How drunk were you? It was blackout drunk. I don't remember walking back from the bar. I remember the last thing that I went with my roommate. He went with like a new pair of shoes, like boots that he was like very proud of. We were all poor college students, and he bought a new pair of like high quality boots, like good stuff, right? And then he went out to like, you know, when you get new shoes, you're like, oh, I want to show people. And then I made a joke about the shoes. Was it my roommate? Did he stab me because like I like roasted him for his like new shoes? So I remember like we went there, and then I kind of like teased him about like the shoes, and then like he laughed, but I could tell he was like a little bit hurt. He was like, oh, like take the wind out of my sails. Like, oh, I feel like a bully now, right? So I remember like buying him like a beer and a shot, and then we continued to chat and have a good time, and then he left early, and then I stayed there to continue drinking. What else do I remember? This was a bar that had like comic book like paraphernalia, like. It was like a comic book themed bar. I mean, this was a long time ago. This was like 15 years ago, right? It was like a comic book themed bar, and there was like a bunch of like comic books that are like framed figures and like action figures and stuff like that. So the last thing that I remember, owner was like, I will give you like the best, like a shot of the best alcohol in the house if you lick like all of these action figures. And I did it. I gave every single dusty ass like action figure on the wall like a good old lick from top to bottom. And I remember everybody thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Like the bar was like pretty full. There was like 15 to 20 people in there. It was like a lot of figures, like action figures. It was a lot. It was like more than 10. That's disgusting. When I'm drunk enough, I'll do anything for like alcohol. But like that's the last thing I remember. I remember reaching the last action figure and then like paying special attention to the dumpy, and people thought that was hilarious. That was like the funniest thing that they'd ever seen because we were all drunk. And then after I finished, it was like, yeah! Everybody was like cheering, right? And then I was like drinking, and it wasn't a shot. The bar owner gave me like a whiskey glass, like full of like good whiskey. And that's the last thing that I remember. And then like I woke up in bed with a bad hangover. And then I got up, I drank 2 glasses of water, took a piss, and then came back to my bed, and I saw like a blood stain. And then I was like, did I lose my virginity? And then I was like, wait, no, I got stabbed. And then I went to the hospital. Sounds like a Florida man. I have no idea what you're talking about. What did your roommate say? I actually did tell my roommate. I actually did tell both of my roommates. I came back and I was like, boys! And they were like, I remember they were eating sandwiches, right? They were eating sandwiches, and I was like, boys, you'll never believe this. And they were like, what's up, V? I was like, I got stabbed. And they were like, what? This was within a year of me disappearing and going to the bar in the middle of a hurricane. This was like less than 6 months after that happened. And then, I pulled up my shirt, and then I showed them like the sticker. Like it's like a big sticker, like, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not a sticker. It's like something that they put on there, right? And then they were like, are you shitting me? And it's like, yeah, no, like the doctor or whatever, they were like 100% certainty, I'm sure that you got stabbed. And it was not an accident. It was definitely like a knife. What did my roommate say? Let me think about that. Are you okay? Why are you not still in the hospital? What is wrong with you? Did the bar have cameras? Probably not. It was like a pretty sketchy bar. He ain't no snitch. He ain't no snitch. Could you imagine? Cop is like, Johnny Tightlips, where did they stab you? Whoa, hey, whoa. Who said anything about getting stabbed? I don't know nothing. More like I stabbed your mother last night, hey, or something like that, right? I did tell my professor. I did take the rest of the week off of class, even though I didn't need to, because I was obviously good enough to like walk around and like hang out with my roommates, and I went drinking. Not that night. But the very next night, the second night after, my roommates were going out to the bar, and I was just like, I'm going with you. And they were like, are you sure about that? And it's like, yeah, man.